Looks like we're all here now at the moment, so I will call the meeting of the Community College, Ames Community College Board of Trustees to order. And let's all join in and with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item would be the approval of the agenda. And members, you've had it for a week or so now, and we do need to make one amendment to what's been published, and that is that we will not need item B under the action items of 8. So that was put there just in case we would need to, or we could cancel the election, but obviously that's not going to happen. So with that change, is there a motion to approve?
I would move to approve the agenda with the elimination of action item 8B.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gene and Mark, I think. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried. Public comment.
There we go. Good afternoon. We do have one public comment, Dr. Guerrero, and he would like to speak about the community. And as a reminder, each speaker has 3 minutes. So, Dr. Guerrero.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope y'all are doing well.
Thank you.
You know, and if you're not doing well, always remember the Lord provides. Dominus providebit. I almost got my Latin right. Anyway, I have 2 minutes. I've never been invited to much anything, you know. So I got invited to this meeting, and I didn't know I was going to be the first speaker either. Okay. But I just want to say, I mentioned to gentlemen that I do speak for the community, especially the underprivileged community. Not so much the privileged community, because we don't know where we are and who we are, okay? And I just want to say that probably somebody would ask me, why did you run? I guess I don't have anything better to do. That's supposed to be funny, all right? Because I have a lot to do. I really do. There's great need out there. In every community that I've worked in, the tragedy of great need is on the, that's not original, by the way, that's by Howard Thurman. And Howard Thurman was the advisor, the mentor of Martin Luther King at Boston University. So, yeah, there is a tragedy of great need. And I've been in the middle of it, and I want to help. So one of my big things is that I want to help the community, and you help the community by helping all the students, not just some of the students, all the students. And I want to say thank you for listening, and I wish you luck, and if you ever run into any doubt, just remember, the Lord will provide. Seriously.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, consent agenda, minutes of the August 7 district meeting. You've all had a chance to peruse it, I would hope. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Gene. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. That motion is carried. And I should also explain that we're missing one member, and she happens to be in Africa, right? So I guess maybe she's having more fun than what we are, which is really...
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
tough to say, so can't happen. Representatives to the board. Student government, Chris? Tell us all the good things you're doing.
Hi, I'm Chris Warren. I'm the new Student Government Association president for this year. First time speaking here, so I'm excited to tell you about all the exciting initiatives that are happening in our student body. So jumping right in with some SGA business, I'm happy to announce that the Student Government Association is going to be hosting its first town hall meeting on September 25th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. in this very room. As the SGA team was looking forward to the upcoming school year, we saw plenty of existing initiatives, while all those initiatives are of immense importance and continue to be worked on, we realized that with a new school year comes new students and an overall shift in the needs of our student body. We believe that these town hall meetings will help account for that shift. These meetings will happen once a month throughout the school year. They're a place where students can voice any concerns, critiques, or needs that arise during their time at Ames. If SGA is really supposed to represent the voice of the student body, we think that these town hall meetings are going to be a place where we can hear that voice most clearly. So for this month, we're calling it a meet, greet, and eat with the Student Government Association. Students are going to get a free dinner and a free $5 Ames Bistro card just for showing up. We really want students to show up. But yeah, we'll have roundtable discussions where students can talk and interact with individual SGA members to talk problems and really discuss solutions. So moving on, a couple more student organization summer updates that came in that are worth reiterating. On July 13th, the Full Throttle Club assisted with the 9th Annual Ames Automotive Show. And on July 29th, the Student Nursing Association volunteered at the Kawasaki Classic Golf Tournament to raise money for the Kawasaki Kids Foundation. It really is encouraging to see our clubs continuing to meet, connect, and impact the community outside of the normal school year. So as for our student-run events that are coming up in September, we have the rest of the fall-in events with the dates, times, and locations in the packet. This year, we're handing out a couple of goodies to students. We're moving away from the plastic water bottles. We're handing out aluminum bottles to everyone. That'll help out with future events, too, and reducing plastic waste. And we're handing out these little goodie bags, too. They have just like kind of like a college student survival pack. There's cough drops, toothpaste, a little bit of candy, and other various little items to kind of help you through the school year. So those are handing out at Fall-In.
All right.
Later this month, brought to us by our Greeley event programmer, Alyssa Garcia, comes the Before I Graduate event. Anonymous collections are going to be collected all around campus, answering what students would like to do before they graduate. Those collections will happen for 2 days, and it'll be followed by a session for tips on goal setting, creating a mission statement, and a vision. And free lunch will be provided at that session, too. Another event at the very end of September coming up comes to us from our Windsor satellite programmer, Becky Webb, and it's the Climb Your Mountain event. And it's a low-key, low-risk activity walking on the Poudre River Trail with fellow students. Free snacks and free transportations from both the Greeley and Windsor campus will be provided. So in closing, our programming team for this year is starting strong and coming up with fresh new ideas to get students involved on all of our campuses. Once again, all of the dates, times, and specific details of those events today can be found in the written report. Does the board have any questions or comments for me today?
I might show up to get that $5 certificate. Excuse me. Any comment?
Can we get one of those boxes too?
If you come to Fall-In.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm in.
There's the cost.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations on serving your role this coming year.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Great presentation. Don't worry. Good.
Always amazed at how much you guys do. It's
Yeah.
wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful.
I'll see you all in a month with another update.
Yep.
Okay, good. Faculty Association, Mark Moody?
Good afternoon, board members and Dr. Bornstein. I'm Mark Moody, the Geography and GIS professor and also the new AFA representative. A couple of accomplishments from our faculty. Our adjunct instructor of biology, James Robertson, published a paper for the Natural Areas Journal. His research was over rare hybrid aspen trees within northern Nebraska, and the research was conducted in hopes of inspiring future works over distribution margins for various tree populations, and was complete with years of collaboration with the University of South Dakota, the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission, the National Park Service, and Nature Conservancy. So pretty good job there. Professor of Philosophy Daniel Malloy was the author of a chapter for an upcoming book titled The Good Place in Philosophy. It's based on a TV show by the same name. I haven't seen it, but I'm aware that Ted Danson's a star in it. We, of course, remember him from the show Becker. And his chapter is titled One of Us is a Manipulative Demon, and it's available on Amazon on September 17th, 2019. And then some community involvement. Professor and Department Chair of Graphic Design, Rich Media, Brian Dunning, participated and performed at the Zappos Theater for the Bling Bling Jam Balloon Competition in Las Vegas, Nevada. He represented the local Greeley business balloon art merrymakers. He wore balloons in the shape of a bee that was assigned by Allison Dunning. And for the unique costume, he won first prize of $1,000. So really good job for him. Yeah, so I know he also designed one of the arty balloons as well in the past. So really good job with him. And then for the conferences, Associate Professor of Anthropology and the Chair of FDLC, Sarisa Reynolds, attend the Colorado Learning and Teaching with Technology Conference on August 8th and 9th at the University of Colorado Boulder campus. She attended various workshops and sessions over inclusive teaching, visual conceptual mapping, learner-centered teaching methods, and new policies set forth by the Colorado Department of Higher Education. So I'm looking forward to see what she has to share to us faculty. And then finally, for another conference, Professor of English and AFA President Allison Easley and Professor of Construction Engineering Technology, AFA Vice President John Mangan, attend the American Association of University Professors Colorado Conference State Meeting at the University of Denver in May 2019. At this event, they heard a lecture from Dr. Christopher Newfield at the University of California about the future of higher education, and also learned about the state of shared governance at the other universities and colleges across Colorado. And they also shared about our unique funding structure we have here, and also the positive position our college is currently in. So that's all the report. I'd be happy to hear any comments or questions.
Very good. Any questions, comments?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. And Staff Association, Jen Seedorf.
Good afternoon, Chair Peterson, members of the board, Dr. Bornstein. Let's see, August, it was still kind of a quiet month for the Staff Association. We did hold our retreat on August 8th and continued discussing new and creative ways that we can continue to help support staff through the year, and also looking for ways that we can continue to recognize the accomplishments of the staff so that we can keep up with the Faculty Association. However, another main goal that I think we'll be focusing on this year is the ways that we can help the wellness team support the staff through the ERP implementation to Workday. So we'll be collaborating with Jan Cope and Rachel Walsh in efforts to help with that. We also talked about ways to increase community volunteer opportunities for staff to participate in. Some of the ideas thrown out were our annual participation with the Weld Food Bank, looking at Project Connect, I think through the United Way, I can't remember, and another nonprofit, Leanna's Closet, which is housed in the back of the Habitat Restore. And then also the United Way Day of Action that's held in June. So we'd take any other suggestions for community involvement, but we're always looking for ways to volunteer. Speaking of staff accomplishments, I have a couple. So Brandon Hopkins, who is the director of the IT Service Center, would like to recognize his team of Michelle Wareheim, John Gray, John Dent, Devin Richards, Matt Seawald, and Ryan Olschlager for achieving their A+ certification, establishing the evidence for technological proficiency when dealing with problems with users' computers. Many people from my team took the A+ certification test here at Ames and were prepared by a semester-long A+ course, attesting to the excellence of instruction and expertise we offer here at Ames. This is not an easy test to pass, and I am very proud to say all 6 support personnel now have the certificate.
Great, super.
Congratulations to them. Stephanie Lucero, the Title IX Coordinator and Student Equal Opportunity Officer in SACE, has completed her Master of Science in Higher Education Integrative Studies. She graduated with distinction on the President's List from Capella University. And Dan Hohenstein, a trio tutor in the trio department, completed his Bachelor's of Science in Nursing in December 2018 and went on to attain his registered nurse license in February 2019. So congratulations to Dan. And finally, I would just like to read a few ripples in recognition for you from August. So first, we'll start with the DART team, which stands for Discovery and Readiness Team. This team was instrumental in getting us started on the ERP process. So they were nominated by Chuck Jensen, Vice President of Administrative Services, Andrea Rogers, Information Technology, Bob Sandstrom, Student Engagement, Inclusion and Success, Cynthia Halligan, Human Resources, Darla Underhill, Payroll, George Belinsky, Jeff Adcock, Jennifer Gilsdorf, Jody Markheim, Kaylee Block, Kara Berg, Kelly Chrisman, Nancy Gray, Trish Rand, Zach McFarland. A great big thank you to the DART team for their work and dedication to the ERP selection process. Team members not only contributed their functional expertise, but were also responsible for seeking comments and questions from their respective areas. This work ensured questions and comments from all areas of the college were heard as the decision process moved forward. This work resulted in the successful selection of Workday as the new ERP vendor for the college. Next is Bill Bennett and Ben Logan, nominated by Lee McMains, Chair Professor. Bill and Ben put in close to 300 work hours in June and July to build from scratch a 14-inch tall Gumby for Dr. B and her team headed to the AFIT conference. Starting with a piece of plywood, they built up the legs while 3D printing arms and hands. They then built a frame around this pattern and created a 2-part rubber mold. They carefully set a metal skeleton within the mold and poured in green rubber to make Gumby. They painted the eyes, nose, and mouth and set him on his way to represent flexibility at the conference. Bill and Ben reported that they learned a lot and that the community lab had never before made such a large mold pour before. There have been a few calls for a rubber pokey. Bill and Ben are more than happy to help some ambitious community members to make one. And I would also like to recognize again Bill Bennett, Ben Logan, and Lee McMains, nominated by Jeff Smith, Dean of Business and Technology. In preparation for the All Academic Affairs meeting and follow-up division meeting, Lee was asked to create a learning environment in the labs of the ATTC third floor. Lee, lab coordinator Bill, and student work study Ben Logan all stepped up to create an excellent time, which included 6 separate labs. Division employees were allowed to learn about hydro process controls, electricity, automation, yes, Terminator-style robots, oil and gas, motor controls, and fluid pneumatic power. As the program is expanding, these 3 have completely stepped up, and it is greatly appreciated. Outstanding job, guys. So congratulations to those and all the Ripples recognition this month.
All right.
Thank you very
Super.
much. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you much.
You're welcome.
Great report.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the President's report. Dr. Bornstein.
Super. I'd like to invite Kelly Jackson, our Foundation Executive Director, up to the podium to introduce our Excellence at Ames for this month, who is alumna Sandra Lopez.
There's actually someone here shorter than me.
Hey,
The three of us. Trustees and Dr. Bornstein, every month that I get to find a new alum who has an exceptional story really broadens my eyes to the capacity that Ames has in creating these exceptional individuals. Sandra Lopez has a story that is beyond compare for some people, and she gets to share that today. I believe she was in the TRIO program, is that right? She graduated in the summer of 2019 with an AA in psychology, and she was a work study starting in financial aid and then transitioned to the TRIO office. She continued to thrive throughout her Ames experience, despite all kinds of life things that came in her way. Please welcome this incredible young woman, Sandra Lopez.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, I'm not a great public speaker, so I get really nervous. But thank you guys for the opportunity. I began my journey at Ames in the fall of 2016. I was excited and more nervous than anything. At this time in my life, all I knew was that I wanted to go to school, but I had a blurry vision of what I wanted to study. Prior to my enrollment, I began doing some research in the field of psychology and thought this was a good route for me. When I met with my advisor, we dove right into my interests, and from the beginning, she was very helpful in guiding me in the right direction. I immediately felt welcome, and as the first day of classes approached, I was ecstatic to be back in a classroom setting. My first semester was a success. I was more motivated than ever and had my family as a great support system, as well as my babies for motivation. Every semester here was different, unpredictable, and memorable. I met some really great study buddies, lifelong friends, and had the best advisors to keep pushing me. There were times where I wanted to throw the towel, but I was constantly reminded by my children and those who cared that I had potential and quitting would prove nothing. In the spring of 2017, however, I hit a bumpy road in my personal life, causing me to lose complete sight of my academic life. At the time, I decided school wasn't for me and that I would work instead. This didn't last long, though, and I soon realized that I didn't want to work at a place that I hated for the rest of my life. At this point, I had no choice but to submit an appeal for my FAFSA, which was approved with the help of a very special person who believed in me before she even knew me, Leah. After given the second chance, I put forth more effort than I had ever, and proudly became the first college graduate in my family. All of this I couldn't have done without the help of my advisors, counselors, kind instructors, helpful tutors, and every other Ames staff member I encountered on the daily. Ames was a great experience for me, and I will truly cherish it. By the end of my journey here, I still was a bit unsure of what I would do with my psychology degree in the future. I had an idea that I shared with my counselor about wanting to combine my passion for exercise and psychology, and here he helped me find my spark, which is why I'm now at UNC studying sports and exercise science for sports psychology. I am glad I was given the opportunity to speak on my experience at Ames, because as I wrote this, I did a lot of reflecting on my personal growth through the years and the amazing community at Ames. I honestly even got emotional, and I can only hope to experience this at my next destination.
Very good. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sandra, before you walk out the door, I know
Where'd
you're
she
behind
go?
me somewhere. We have something for you to thank you. I also want to say this in the microphone. We have something small to thank you, but thank you for having the courage and the willingness to do this, because it's really important for us as a board, as a cabinet, and as employees to hear our alumni stories, because it keeps right at the forefront exactly why we're here. and
That's
we
what we're
do.
here
So
for.
thank you very much for doing it.
Thank
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
That's always so much fun.
Very
Great.
meaningful.
That's the
very
highlight of the
Great.
meeting.
Yep, highlight of the meeting.
Well, thank you. And moving on.
Moving on.
I'd like to invite Dr. Roth Murr, Executive Vice President and Chief Academic Affairs Officer, to give us the highlights for the month and assessment report, as well as introduce the sabbatical report, I believe.
Thank you, Dr. Bornstein. Chair Peterson, members of the board. I'm actually going to steal a comment one of my colleagues just made as I was walking up here. She said, well, it's all downhill from here. And I said, well, I guess I start that. So here's the downhill, if you will.
Under the bus.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about maybe not a bus, but a van at the end. If you, from your board packets, if you've noticed, the Executive Vice President in Academic Affairs update has been changing over the last couple of months. And the most recent one, we're almost getting it to a point where it's a accurate reflection of the amazing things that are happening across the different divisions. And one of the things I want to just highlight very quickly from this information packet that you have is that we've kind of put together the highlights from the month, but we're also color coding different markers within that relates to the strategic plan, and we'll continue to do that. And we're always happy to answer or share additional information about a lot of the highlights that are in here. But what I wanted to bring your attention to is the very last page. And because they were sitting behind me as the meeting was started, and I haven't picked on aviation for a little while, I'm just going to reference that we had an amazing event last month, and there's a picture of some of that in here. But now it's time to move on and celebrate in aviation, to share some of the other great support that we are getting from the institution for our students. And if you may have seen it as you were coming in the building today, and if you haven't, I encourage you, it's oftentimes parked outside of Ed Beatty, and it's our new comm media or Ames radio van. It's a brand new van, and we currently had it wrapped, and it really pops and is amazing representation of the faculty and staff that we're supporting. So I wanted to thank certainly the board and the college for the continued support in providing those resources for our teams. And one of the things, as the board had asked in a couple of months ago, we have a little blurb in your packet regarding Ames Radio, how to access it, and a little bit of information. So I encourage you, if you haven't done that recently, there's a link in your packet, as well as tune into 89.1 FM. If you haven't done that, it's certainly a treat to listen to them at some times. So certainly any questions you have regarding the packet, but I didn't want to spend a lot of my time today kind of going over those pieces, because I have two, and I'll call them treats for you. Some of us get excited when we talk about assessment. Others probably go roll their eyes, and you really have to do that. But it's really important to a learning college to make sure that we're measuring and holding ourselves accountable to our learning outcomes. And each September, you, as a board, get an update on where we are with measuring those learning outcomes and where we are with assessment. So to do that for you this afternoon, I'd like to introduce Ross Perkins. He's our Director of Office of Curriculum, Program Development, and Scheduling, to highlight what we're doing in assessment.
Good afternoon, board. Chairman Peterson, Dr. Bornstein. I am here today to present an update on the academic assessment at Ames. In short, Ames continues to move forward with assessing student learning. Programs and departments are using assessment data to make informed decisions about student learning and identifying opportunities for improvements. All the departments continue to participate in assessment, with 121 full-time and part-time faculty participating last year in 2018-2019. This year, we are looking to increase the number with more part-time faculty and concurrent enrollment faculty participating. For 2018-2019, we assessed in 169 unique courses, and 496 individual courses were assessed for 18-19. Ames assessed over 3,000 students for that same time period through a range of projects, demonstrations, and other student artifacts. Faculty identify key assignments in their courses to collect assessment data, typically through formative, which is at the beginning of the semester, and or summative, which is at the end of the semester. Faculty completed over 23,000 formative assessments. So on a rubric, there may be 5 elements, so it's each one of those elements on a rubric. So over 23,000 of those, and over 27,000 summative assessments. So there's quite a bit going on there. Even though these numbers are slightly down from last year, Ames continues to see an increase in the quality of assessment projects. In several cases, departments are using assessment data to dig deeper into understanding what areas are impacting student success. For the common learning outcomes, we have seen, in the last 2 years, we've seen consistent success rates, and we are defining success rates at this particular time by students achieving the top 2 levels on the rubric, which is arriving and arrived. And so I think 3 of the areas are up slightly, and 1 area is critical thinking is holding steady, which is about normal. 1 area which is slightly down, which is written communication, and that's primarily because there was a new rubric involved in that process. So it's just a time to get used to that. I do want to mention also that one of the departments, the Social Science Division, decided to take on a project last year assessing global or diversity and global learning, and so that was the first time we have assessed that, and so we're really excited about doing that. So we'll reassess that in another year, so then we'll be able to look back and see how students are improving and stuff. Moving forward, we are in the process of identifying standing assessment assignments for programs and departments. In addition, my team will be working with chairs and directors this semester to update curriculum maps, which will align with our common learning outcomes when possible, and identify courses where data will be collected. So we'll identify the individual courses where we will do those assessments and collect data. In addition, the Student Learning Assessment Team will be developing a new 3-year plan this fall to help guide assessment of student learning in the upcoming years. Finally, I would like to take a moment to thank Jeff Adcock and Judy Eaton for their support in helping me put this report together. Thank you for your time, and I can answer any questions if you have any.
Questions, members? I guess we're good.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Excuse me, what's your biggest challenge?
How much time do we have? No.
Yeah.
I think time is really the biggest challenge.
Really?
It's having the time to look at the data, to make, to spend some time kind of digging into it, and really just having the conversations with the faculty and the chairs and the people who participate about what the data is telling us, and then using that data to make some informed decisions. So that's probably the biggest challenge that we have. And,
coagulating everything and putting
yeah, and just finding the time. I mean, if, between faculty teaching classes and going to meetings and doing committee work and stuff, we have very little time to find those opportunities, but we're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Thank you very much.
All right, instead of seeing me, this is the opportunity for us all to go uphill again. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Kendra Griffin. She is an associate professor of English and wanted to share what she's done on sabbatical. Kendra?
I hope this is uphill. Hello, everyone. It's really nice to be back. Thank you for having me. I'd like to thank you for giving me this sabbatical opportunity and for the chance to speak to you about it now. As you know, I spent the spring semester developing creative writing curriculum for the Early College Academy and working on several other projects related to creative writing. I think my summary report, which you have a copy of, already explains this fairly well. So in the spirit of good teaching, I am not going to torment you with a PowerPoint or by reading off a document that you have in front of you. Instead, I will explain why the sabbatical enriched my teaching and my ability to contribute to Ames in ways that can't be quantified on the summary report. The first benefit, I'm sure, is common to most faculty who take sabbatical. I regain perspective on why I teach. The sabbatical gave me the opportunity outside of the busy semester to re-examine what I want to achieve in the classroom and my vision for how. Researching and evaluating how to best present the English 221 curriculum to high schoolers required some deep reflection on teaching literacy in general in all my classes. For example, I'm now including more metacognitive pieces in comp classes, and after working with novel industry experts and attending professional writing conferences, I feel more equipped to do competent genre-specific editing on the creative writing that comes across my desk. In addition, both my own creative writing and lit classes have been improved by a greater selection of multicultural and geographically diverse authors. I feel confident this curriculum enrichment, as well as my ability to bring back the knowledge from writing conferences that would not likely be affordable to most Ames students, approaches Strategy 3, Objective 1, Assessment and Development. Thank you also again for my PD funds, which enabled me to go to these conferences. Another unquantifiable outcome resulted from my designing my own author platform. I wrote this task into an already cluttered sabbatical proposal partly as a kind of challenge to myself, thinking if I include it, I'll have to do it, kind of like when one commits to a gym membership. I have long lacked confidence in technology and personally was reluctant to take on the project of creating my own author platform. But I wanted to do so for myself and so that then I could teach it well enough to help my students understand how to do it for themselves. In 2019, no author or editor, part-time or full-time, finds work without a vibrant professional online platform, so students need to know how to market their skills after they graduate. Thus, this learning object development fulfilled Strategy 1, Objective 1, Access. It did so partly because I chose a free website, WordPress, that's user-friendly, so any student could create their own similar professional-looking platform, economics being no barrier. Its creation also helped me fulfill Strategy 2, Objective 4, Technology. And of course, this project may even help me achieve my faculty plan goals, the ones we fill out with our chairs and or deans every year to hopefully move the college forward by eventually getting myself published. You will definitely know if that happens. But the most unexpected and welcome benefit of my sabbatical was that by having time outside of the busy semester to learn more about technology, I actually became not only more proficient with it, but less afraid of it. I'm positive this necessary improvement will benefit my teaching. I really needed this. On a day-to-day level, at a constant racing pace, I've been unable to improve my technology skills on a macro level. It's always piecemeal, dealing with this tech issue, trying to load a video in a hurry, rushing to absorb new OER content in time to prepare classes. But away from bureaucracy and pressures and on my own timetable, I improved my relationship with technology. I know my fall online and in-seat D2L resource shells have already benefited, as well as my use of in-class technology and my confidence with OER tools. Now I feel much better equipped to work with the great OER curriculum the English department launched last spring. I don't think I ever could have accomplished this in the same way during the semester, nor could I have improved my overall approach to writing across the curriculum principles without the time afforded by this sabbatical. So thank you for this time today and for giving me the chance to work on a project near to my heart and at my own pace in my own backyard with my dog at my feet. I can't express how grateful I am for this opportunity, and I hope all faculty will avail themselves of it when they're eligible. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I don't want to, but I guess I should ask if there are questions.
Sure.
Because everyone else did.
Is it ORE?
OER.
OER.
So it's basically educational resources that are free to the student and available online,
Okay,
and
they're
that we
online.
have a task force here working on it. And
So on creative writing, what's the biggest challenge for a student?
confidence,
Confidence.
as it is for most writing students. I can approach that in different ways in a creative writing class because I have more latitude, but it's confidence, trusting that what they have to say is important, and I think that's true of all writing students.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I would like to invite who he is already standing and moving, Chuck Jensen, Vice President for Administrative Services, to give us the Administrative Services highlight for the month and a budget update.
Thank you. Thank you, President Bornstein. Chairman Peterson, members of the board, you have before you the budget report as of for July 30th, 2019. This is the first month of the new fiscal year, so there's not a lot to talk about on this report other than everything's on track for the first month of the fiscal year. I did highlight in my work session conversation with the board, the revisions that we're looking at within the general property taxes, and you'll continue to hear that each month as that progresses, but that's probably the one item of notice that I'll continue to update the board on as we go forward. So at this point, other than that, I don't have any expenditure items or other revenue items that I want to highlight before the board, but I stand for any questions regarding this budget report.
Questions, members?
Nothing. I do have one question. It's a little on budget and off budget. It's a numbers game. I was reading the Endeavor Post. I don't know if anybody saw that 2 weeks ago about our state severance tax. A lot of states that are mineral wealthy have established severance trust funds.
Trust funds, yeah.
To kind of, eventually, sometimes that money has a return on investment going back to the community. Our states chose not to do that, and we might have missed that window of opportunity to establish that reserve fund that kind of some of that money goes to education, some of it goes to wherever it's going to go. Can we save money like that, or we just put it in our bond, where it's at right now, just sitting? Are we allowed to create a trust fund like that?
We do.
Chairman Peterson, Trustee Hout.
That's a big question.
Not so much in that trust fund, but in a reserve fund. I mean, as I've continued, as we've talked about that to our budget meetings, that would probably be a quick answer on that.
Okay.
That we would have that ability to set that up as a reserve fund, a net balance that we have in our accounts that we talk about. I generically refer to it as our savings account.
Sure.
So I think in a sense,
it's one and the same, is what you're saying.
From a conceptual standpoint, I feel that we're probably doing the same thing. As we've talked in the past of that level of reserve that we have, how much we're keeping as a contingency reserve fund, severance. I mean, we could label it each of those categories, but really it is that if there is a downturn, there's an ability to use that funding to sustain the college through that. So much like that severance fund would do for the state, our reserve funds would do for us.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions on that? Okay.
Thank you, Chuck.
Okay.
Good report.
I'll turn my attention now to some updates from the facility standpoint. Again, some real quick updates. Okay. We had our work session today on the facilities plan, so I won't elaborate on that anymore. Just some start of school excitement that we've completed projects. Our welding project in Fort Lupton, classes started on 8/26. We're just completing the punch items on that. Our CDL lot at our Fort Lupton campus is in permit phase, and we're estimated start of construction fall of 2019. We'll be moving our CDL program from Greeley to Fort Lupton early January 2020. And the monument sign, be ready for installation last week of September.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And as most of the board members, you attended our Loveland Airport opening. That was a great event. And so that facility is open and running. Our IT department has moved into their new digs in Cornerstone, and they're up and running in that. Allied Health, we've completed the phlebotomy and rad tech renovation of Allied Health, and classes started 8/26, and we're just finishing up a few punch items on that. The Windsor campus, we have the drone program runway is in design, and the estimated program started is spring of 2020, so that's a project that we're working on. Quick update, well, it's actually not an update, just a recognition that we're still waiting for the appraisal for our Berthoud property. I presented that at the August meeting where the Colorado Department of Transportation is looking at acquiring some of our property there for a realignment of I-25. And we expect that appraisal at the end of September, so stay tuned for that. And then I just do want to give, again, some recognition that on our Workday ERP process as we move forward through work with CCR, we have named that project Our Workday. So that's the name of that project as we move forward for the next 3 years. Excuse me. Currently right now, HR and fiscal and IT are the first to go. And that'll be the project for the next 10 months for that, those divisions. And then starting in July of next year, the student side of the house will go. So I'll give you periodic updates as we hit milestones in our implementation of our new administrative systems here. So I stand for any questions on those items.
I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, look at that. Everybody knows their routine. So, Mr. Timothy Ullman, Vice President for Community College Relations, will give an update on CCR.
Yes, one of the joys of having an agenda. Yeah. Well, good afternoon, board members and Dr. Bornstein. Just a couple of things from CCR. One, I want to report just a real good one, and that's with our recruiting. We've developed a new recruiting plan, and it ties in directly to the Ames Community College Major Strategic Plan, and that's number 17 and number 2, where we're looking at how do we reach out to underrepresented populations. So the Jody and her crowd put together an excellent plan to really make that a reality. And so we're actually moving a number of our people out to the different locations. We're going to have one of our recruiters is going to stay here in Greeley to continue work in the Greeley area. We have a new a new member. We're gonna put her out at Fort Lupton. She's bilingual, she's from this area, so we're looking forward to great things with her. And so the focus there is on the Latinx community. We're also gonna put a big emphasis on non-traditional and looking at veterans and retirees and older adult learners. And so with that, we're moving Danielle out to Windsor and putting her out there so she can kind of get going in that area. And then also we're putting Kim Joyner out in Loveland so that her primary focus is going to be on veterans, but veterans for all campuses, not just there, but across all campuses. So we're looking forward to the great things that they're going to be doing. And it's a little different way of doing business, but following the strategic plan, this is what we need to do because these are the populations that we need to reach. And we're going to do a good job with that. So my hat's off to Jody and her team for doing a great job. The other piece, we have got a...
Timothy?
Yes.
Excuse me. How, do they have an office they work out of, or is this...
They will have offices there.
At each school, or...?
At each location.
Oh, great.
Right.
That's super.
And the idea is that I don't expect you to be in your office very much.
Yeah, really.
Because they're the face of Ames, and they're out there recruiting.
Okay. So the school's allowing them to kind of participate within their building structure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
neat.
it's working out
Neat
well.
collaboration.
Yeah. And then, with the recruiting folks, they've done a real great job because we're looking at our non-traditional population, which is a large percentage of our population, much larger than the high school.
Sure.
And so they're looking at places like they're going to be out at Shields and recruiting out there. They're going to be at other places where people go. So we're going to where the population is, where the customers are, where the potential students will be, to invite them to be a part of us. Yep.
Very good.
So when you say they'll be out at Shields, will they have a table
Yep.
and materials? and
Exactly.
Talking to people as they come in and out?
Exactly. Yeah. So they'll be out there. They'll be set up. They're going to have a lovely Ames display out there. Hopefully, if it's a sunny day, they'll have the tent. Keep them cool. But then just to have the opportunity to have the information out there about what the different programs that are offered at all the Ames campuses. Here's what we have for you. Here's what we can do for you. Come on. We'd love to have you be a part of us.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
The other part that we're working on, working well, and that's the marketing and communications folks. They're looking at the website, and as you know, we did an update on the website, and that was pretty much an external view. It looks prettier, looks nicer, but what we're doing is we're digging in the guts of it and really getting in behind it and finding that we could optimize a few things, and we need to be a much better presence on the internet. And so that we're not hidden in there, but when people say, hey, I want to learn about welding, or I want to learn about automotive, where can I go? Boom, Ames pops up as the first one. So Zach's team is doing a big, heavy lift on that one to make sure that we have it fully optimized so that our college users and our external users have a great experience and don't get frustrated, as sometimes you look for something and it takes you to a page and it just says, file not found. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm sure it's not happened to any of us. Yeah. Yeah. So they're working on that one. The other one that's very exciting, and this is the Loveland campus, and Heather arranged a meeting a couple of months ago with the economic development people there in Loveland, and they said, honestly, the two big things that we need is we have older adult learners that need some, if you will, some business background. They need some computer skills because they want to continue to work, but they need just to upgrade their skills. And so we looked at working with workforce development and Dr. Roth Murr's crowd, and how can we offer some of these certificates and these maybe 1 day or 6 week courses to get people to a point where they can say, I have this proficiency, now I can go out and do it. So that's one area they're looking at. The other piece that we heard from them was they said, you used to have a killer program for lifelong learning. We got a lot of retirees in this area here, a lot of older folks that would just love to be a part of that. And beyond the older folks, we have a lot of people in the community that would just like to learn different things. So Heather's taken a hard look at that. We should be able to put some things together, but we're going to put a strong emphasis on lifelong learning. And I believe it was, she sent me a note, and I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago, they had a very robust lifelong learning program. And there were 4 pages on a catalog of all the offerings that they had there. So that's something that they're really going to take a hard look at and make that an emphasis, those two pieces, the workforce development for older adults and then for the lifelong learning in Loveland. And then 2 public service announcements, because we do events as well. The one is tomorrow, 9:30, out in the big field out here, Ames to UNC. Big old program. I know you're coming. I saw your names on the list, so we're delighted to have you there. We'll have a seat for you. So delighted to have you. And then on Saturday we have 2 events. One is for our family here, the Ames family, the employees, and that's a family day. That's on Saturday. And then rolling right into that is Gig on the Green. So encourage all of you to attend. Encourage all of you to attend as well. So please, and bring your families, come, just have a great day. So that's all I have for now. Do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is the attire for tomorrow?
Oh,
for those
tomorrow.
of us who go to the Ames to UNC
thank
signing.
You. The attire tomorrow, because this is quite the signing event, is business professional. So that's what we're wearing.
So no
So what
aardvark
does
cowboy hats. huh?
Well, they're tastefully done. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Not made of aardvark, but if you had a picture of one, that might be okay.
Okay,
With
I
your
just-
jacket and tie.
Yeah, jacket and tie. Bolo ties work too.
Okay.
Yeah.
With a tie? We got to wear a tie?
Well, polo, something. Yeah,
Good
that'll be
grief.
good.
Cruel and unusual punishment.
Stop by. I can lend you one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Dr. Weisgeber, the Vice President for Student Engagement, Inclusion, and Success, would like to give us an update of that division.
All right, back down here. Good afternoon, trustees, Chair Peterson, Dr. Bornstein. I would first like to say I've been working on a gratefulness activity with a couple friends of mine. And I would like to say in this moment that I'm really glad that it was Vice President Ullman who had to tell you the dress code for tomorrow, because I was the backup just in case. So excited to see you all there tomorrow. I think we'll have an opportunity to introduce you to some of our folks who are going to be a strong part of that team later today. I have just a couple of updates for you in terms of where we are at this point in the semester. Most of you know that I try to provide you the 611. So SACE means 6, 411 is what's the information. So the 611, where are students at? Because I like to provide you the context of where students are, what they're experiencing at this point of the semester, so that you have a better understanding of maybe how the flow of the semester goes. Right now, students are trying to connect and they're trying to find places. I've seen a lot of students out in study groups, trying to make connections with one another, trying to build relationships, build friendships. A lot of this is really based on our excellent instruction that we have here. Our incredible faculty, both full-time and part-time faculty, really spend a lot of time trying to get students to connect through group work and different pieces like that. So students are focusing on building trust in the student services side of the house. Students are really focusing on group work and partnerships and connections through their schoolwork. On the operations side, we are also working to build trust and relationships. I'm really excited to share with the board that the difference between where we are now and where we were 2 years ago in terms of our collaboration and our working across various aisles is substantially different, and I'm excited about that work between partnership between SACE and academic affairs, which we'll hear more about next month, partnerships between academic affairs and CCR, as VP Ullman just shared, and I just like to take a minute to recognize that, because I think that's an important part of the work that we're doing, and it absolutely does impact our students. Finally, I also oversee the Council for Equity and Inclusion, and I just want to remind all of you when you're at Fall In next week that we'll have a table, the CEI will have a table for the Common Read book. The Common Read book is called Evicted. It's written by an author named Matthew Desmond and discusses the ways, kind of follows, it's a ethnography approach and follows 8 different families who are evicted, but specifically asks some really critical questions around who profits profits from poverty. And I think it's an important read for all of us to consider, especially as we look at the nature of our community, where our socioeconomic class status is throughout the Weld County community, and what that might mean for our neighbors as well as our students. Some quick numbers for you in terms of how many students we saw this fall in advising. We saw over 1,700 students who came in to visit and talk about class schedules, talk about holistic advising, support services, whatnot. In our testing arena, we had 978 students take a college student inventory. And so what that inventory does, it's a self-placement that helps us understand how students feel about their ability to be successful in college. So that's exciting. Typically, only our new students take that inventory. And so that starts to give us a little bit of a feel of what Dr. Roth Murr might be sharing with us in the coming months about our enrollment. And then in financial aid, which I'm really excited to share with you about, we had the financial aid office had 2,395 students come to their front window as we got ready for this fall. Well done, financial aid. I think that's incredible. And so to continue on that work, I'd like to give you a little bit more of an update about financial aid. As you all know, Objective 1, empowering students to proceed to succeed, under the retention objective, we have a line that is focused on funding your future. And so our real hard work to help students fund themselves as they move through school. If you remember last spring, the board, you all, committed to really helping our students move forward in a meaningful way as we went through budget approval. And so I wanted to just share with you the impact of your decision around that, because I think it's pretty remarkable. In fall 2018, in scholarships and grants, we awarded $4.1 million for just the fall semester. Already in fall 2019, and I say already because we're still awarding, we have $5,029,805 that we've awarded in scholarships and grants.
Wow.
That's almost $1 million difference in the money that we have awarded to students. And here's the primary difference in how we did that. Our financial aid office got really creative about how can we ensure that students are getting dollars and not facing barriers. And so as a result, instead of requiring students to apply for the Ames Scholarship, which was open to all Ames students, we automated that process for students. So we could see very easily, what is a student's GPA, how many credits is a student enrolled in, what is the student's, are they doing well in school? And if they met all those criteria, rather than asking them to jump through another hoop and fill out a scholarship application, we provided that to them in order to support their education. So thank you very much to the board and for your commitment to our students. This is a huge difference and will continue to make a huge difference as we move forward. With that, and bragging a little bit about financial aid and some of the work we did, I would certainly entertain any questions that the board may have. If you have any questions about Ames to UNC or financial aid, I'll call Nancy. And any of the other kind of beginning of semester work we're doing.
Those 1,700 students that advisement went through, was that one-on-one contact?
It is.
Okay. How many people played this?
How many advisors do we have?
Yeah.
We're set to have right under 20 at this point, between 15 and 20.
Okay.
With the board's support and Dr. Bornstein's support, we've really been able to grow our advising staff. One of the things that we recognize, however, in that area is that advising for many people is seen as an entry-level position. And so what we see in that is a lot of churning, and we'll hear a little bit more as we have folks who fall in love with Ames and they fall in love with students and they go, how can I get more of this? And so they move from being an advisor to, a senior advisor, or to a program coordinator, or something of that ilk. So we are getting closer. Trustee Hout, I know that you've been particularly concerned and focused on that. And so we're getting a lot closer to having the staff that really can handle a capacity to ensure that students can meet with an advisor in a meaningful way on a regular basis.
And on financial aid, is that kind of same ratio, or is that more electronically done?
So financial aid, and Nancy, I'm going to swing it. Trust me, I'll call you in a minute if I need you. So in financial aid, we don't have necessarily the same case management approach. There still is a lot of advising, but a lot of that advising can happen in group advising. There are many instances where we would bring students back to have a one-on-one conversation with them if their situation is unique. However, with the FAFSA, it is a pretty general process, and so students can move through that fairly quickly. Yep, they fill out the FAFSA. We do FAFSA help sessions on a weekly basis so that we can continue to support students as they're trying to understand what does that mean, how do I get additional funds.
Super.
Great.
Good.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So on the next piece of the president's report, comments from the president, we had our first item was open meeting and code of ethics updates and focus by Sandra Owens. She is hoping to be here by 3, perhaps after that, so I'd like to suggest that we just keep moving through the agenda. And if it turns out that we're done before she gets here, we'll let her know that we'll do it next month.
Sometime.
But this was something that came up at our retreat that you wanted just kind of an update and a review on. So we'll just hang on to that for a second until she gets here. If you look in your packet, you'll see, my meetings of note from August. Obviously, if you have any questions, happy to answer. There's one piece down here that was a highlight for me this last month. Mr. Ullman and I went over to Leprino and we took a tour. And believe it or not, that was the first time I was able to do that. And wow, I was wildly impressed. Have any of you taken a tour?
No,
Yes, yes.
I thought you couldn't do that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Have any of you
Really?
taken a tour of yeah. Incredible. This is amazing.
Yeah, you should do it.
It's really an amazing tour. Fascinating that it's here in our backyard. We know it's here in our backyard, but to go inside, it is unbelievably clean, extremely organized. We had great tour guides who are actually on our advisory board for our programs, and I'm thinking, geez, why aren't all of our students heading over there to work? They've got great work conditions, fantastic benefits. I mean, just the whole thing. So, Fred, I saw you shaking your head. Yes. So one of my questions, actually, I'm seeing, was, I'm learning about the manufacturing of it, and they're talking about the skills that they are looking for in graduates from Ames and so forth. And, I don't know this area, so I do not know this technology at all. So I say to them, well, it sounds like folks who are being trained in our automotive program could potentially have transferable skills. And they said, yes. In fact, my training was in automotive first before I moved into manufacturing, and now I'm a manager and so forth. And so I said, oh, do you know Fred Brown? So I have business cards for you. But it was great. So for anyone who has an interest in taking some time and going on a tour, it was quite impressive. And that was sort of a highlight of my month. There were many other things, as you can see on the list, but that I just wanted to share with you. If you hadn't had an opportunity, it's well worth it. Are there any other questions on my activities for August that you might have?
Not I. Anybody?
No.
Okay. No? Okay, so I'm going to shoot over to the next page then and look at our employee report. So you'll see there's new position hires and folks who have transitioned, and I just want to take a look to our audience. Do we have supervisors who have new employees that, yes, lots of hands going up. Okay, whoa. How about if I start over here and we kind of sweep the room? Kelly.
And if I could ask supervisors to come to the podium so we can all hear what everybody's saying, please.
Yeah, and there's a lot of you, so let's be succinct.
Kelly Jackson Ames Foundation. I'd like to welcome Jillian McCartan. She is our Vista for a year, and if I can, I want to keep her longer.
Yeah. because it's the start of our next academic year, we typically have lots of new folks.
Yeah, right.
I'm Robin Nevling, and I'm the Director of Nursing here, and we have a new faculty member that came to us from Arizona, April Fulton.
Hi, I'm Christy Herrera, the Senior Enrollment Advisor in the Student Enrollment Department, and we have a new bilingual enrollment advisor from Louisiana, Maria Sanchez.
Good afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rachel Veretto, and I'm the director of the Transition Center in the SACE division, where Ames to UNC is located, both physically, and then the staff as well will be with us. So I would like to introduce today Steve Mitchell in the back over here. He will be our Ames to UNC coordinator, and he comes to us from UNC, where he has spent the last 3 years as a student development specialist with the athletics department. Prior to that, he completed his law degree at the University of Wyoming, where he also served as a coordinator for academic and tutoring services. And next to Steve, we have Erica Fetskova. I'm learning this. All of you who have been calling her Erica Fekova, it's Fetskova. And Erica has actually worked at Ames for the past year in academic advising, and she's transitioning to her new role as a senior advisor for the Ames to UNC program. Prior to coming to Ames, she worked at UNC as the coordinator for international admissions, and Erica does have her master's degree in adult and higher education from the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
I'm Bob Sandstrom, Student Technology Solutions of SACE, and I have Kayla Brewster. She is the functional analyst, and she will be helping us with the Student Enrollment and Success CERT area. And she comes to us from CSU.
Good afternoon, Liz Schulneiber, and I'm the director for the TRIO Student Support Services STEM program. And I'm happy to introduce April Cano, right here. April has been with Ames for about a year, but just with the STEM program since the end of July, so we're thrilled to have her working with us. And April's background, she has 2 Bachelor of Science degrees from Colorado State University, one in psychology and the other in human development and family studies, and a master's degree from the University of Connecticut in student affairs and higher education. And she's from Fort Collins, so she commutes every day and has a cat named Willow and a dog named Oak. And welcome, April.
Good afternoon. I'm Leslie Bicknell, and I'm the Director of Academic Advising, and it's my pleasure to introduce to the board today our newest Senior Academic Advisor on the Greeley campus, Tom Miller. Tom comes to us from Florida. He's happy to be here and not in Florida right now. He served for 15 years as a faculty member in the business department at, and I want to read this so I get this right, Palm Beach Atlantic University. There he pioneered online course offerings and also trained his department, his fellow faculty members on online instruction. He served in a faculty role for over 25 years at 3 different universities. He's also served for 3 different nonprofit organizations as their executive director and has 15 years of experience working in that leadership role. He has a heart for teaching adults, for education, and for assisting children as both a mentor and an advocate during his volunteer time away from work. He's been married for 27 years, has 2 sons, one in Denver, one in Michigan, and he's happy to be returning to a community college setting where he first began instructing as a faculty member.
Hello all, I'm Haley Hall. I'm a senior academic advisor, and I'd like to introduce Jamie Viefhaus-Zach. as a new academic advisor. She's a Weld County native. She's actually worked at Ames Community College a few years ago at the Fort Lupton campus. She does hold a Master's of Arts in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, and you may recognize her most recently from the call center over in recruiting. So we're very glad to have her on board.
Hello, my name is Dana Jones, and I'm the Director of Disability Access Services. I'm very excited because my office has now expanded to 2 additional people. So I'm going to introduce Vince Velasquez. He actually has been in Ames for 6 years with us, about 7 years. He's currently working on his Communication Information Systems degree. So a current student, he was a work study, a part-time, and now he is in the Disability Access Office as our Assistive Technology Specialist. Next to him, I have Renee Windish, and she came to us from the K-12 setting. She is our advisor for Disability Access Services. She'll put accommodations in place for students and support faculty as they work with those students. So I'm pleased to have them.
Hello, I'm Christine Wiedemann, and I'm happy to announce that Laura Killen-Wing has moved from part-time to full-time in the early childhood department. And we're really happy because she's blazing a lot of new planes for us, so we're really happy. So thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Dee Schultz, the Executive Director of Human Resources, and I'd like to welcome Janelle Wild as our new Director of Employee Relations position. Janelle has 20 years of experience in human resources. Most of that time she has been in a strategic role, partnering with leadership on all employee relation matters. The primary focus of her career has been employee relations, where she has experience in performance management, investigations, disciplinary proceedings, including conflict resolution, talent development, coaching, regulatory compliance. She holds a SHRM CP and a PHR credentials and is an active member of both SHRM and the Northern Colorado HR Association. Janelle and her husband will celebrate 19 years of marriage at the end of this month, have 2 sons, 7 and 5 years old. She and her family enjoy Colorado outdoors, including camping, jeeping, mushroom hunting, and Janelle loves to read and write. So we're very grateful to have Janelle join the HR team.
Good afternoon. I'm Brandon Hopkins, the IT Service Center Director. I'd like to welcome Brandon Sibley, Eli, as we all know him by, because then there's another Brandon, we can't confuse ourselves. So he comes to us from Robert Half. He was a temp who worked for us for the last year, and then we decided he was good enough. We wanted to give him the position. So he has his associate's degree from Front Range Community College in cybersecurity, and he hopes to stick around for quite some more time. So welcome, Brandon.
Let me move this down. Good afternoon. I'm Andrea Rogers, the Executive Director for IT Administrative Services, and it is my honor to introduce Matt Uribe, who is our new ERP platform architect. What is an ERP? It's our enterprise resource platform or planning. And so currently that's Banner, and we're transitioning to Workday. Matt has been with us since 2013 and started as a desktop technician, and then in 2015 moved into a Programmer 1 role. In 2017 moved into a Programmer 2 role, and now is our very esteemed ERP platform architect. And one of our favorite colleagues within IT, one of my very favorite humans. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Rhonda Johnson. I'm Director of the IT Network and Telecom team, and I would like to welcome Derek Gibson. He joins us as a System Administrator too. He has a bachelor's degree in IT. He's been with us since the 1st of July, and he is proof that College for Kids is a good recruiting tool because he actually went here for that.
Good afternoon. My name is Blake Ketchum. I'm the Director of Information Security. I'd like to welcome Isaac Hall. He's our new Information Security Analyst. He comes to us from CSU, and he's already made some great contributions in the last month, so please welcome him.
And that was our IT management staff right there. It was everybody. I'm Brad Yoder, Chief Information Officer. Got to introduce Blake. He moved from one position to another. He was Isaac. He was the Information Security Analyst, and now is a Director. And he's finally got some help. He was one person alone for a little while, so we're glad to have Blake moving into that role. And I'd like to introduce Lisa Bailey. She comes from Texas. She had done some temporary work for us for a few months. And like Brandon said, you know, we liked her, she liked us, so let's make it official. And she's come on board as our staff executive.
Good afternoon. I'm Shayna. I'm the Director of Workforce Development, and I'm honored to announce that Russell Iverson has been reclassified in our unit from a staff associate to business specialist, and he will be helping us with all the cash that flows in and out of workforce development, all our contracts, our invoices, and our standard operating procedures. So we are very pleased, and everybody knows Russell. He is an Aardvark awardee and local, and also a volunteer extraordinaire. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Eric Himmler, Director of Aviation. I'd like to introduce two people. First, Tyler Conley. Tyler Conley is an Ames graduate. He moved into a part-time flight instructor role, and then he went away and earned his airframe and power plant mechanics license out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and came back and took a full-time role as one of our flight instructor check airmen. So welcome, Tyler. The second person I'd like to introduce is Will Faulkner. Will is also an Ames graduate and was one of our part-time flight instructors for some time, went to the commercial airlines, and we are very lucky that he came back to us as a full-time assistant chief flight instructor. So welcome, Will.
Hello again. I am very excited to introduce our final new employee, and that is Aaron Prestwich. He will be serving as the Assistant Vice President for Student Engagement, Inclusion, and Success. First day was yesterday. I'm so excited he's here. I've already put a ton of work on his plate. Couple things that I think is helpful for you to know about Aaron. Aaron graduated with his master's in vocational rehab counseling from UNC in 2007. He worked at Chadron State College and started his time in student affairs as a trio director and eventually moved up to a dean of students. He then moved to Colorado, where all the fun people are, and served as a dean of students for 6 years at Front Range Westminster, holding down a profile very similar to my own, that it includes oversight over all of the student service areas. Aaron is a Broncos fan. For those of you who are Broncos fan, be excited. I'm a little worried. We have a Patriots fan also on our team. And the last thing that I would share with you is Aaron is looking for recommendations for the best donuts in Greeley. So if you have an idea of what the best donut place in Greeley is, please find your way to Aaron. Thank you.
Donut factory, here to get that.
Okay, and that concludes the president's report at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll, if we continue with it later on, we will.
Yes.
Yeah, if she gets here. So, but I want to say that I made a terrible faux pas to start this meeting, and I want to try to correct it right now. And you all know that, or I assume you know, that we had a joint meeting with the Foundation Board as a part of our work session before we had the regular meeting that we're having now. And at least 2 members of the Foundation Board are here. I don't know.
Yep, Jim.
Jim and Dave.
Jim and Dave, is that right? Yeah.
Raise your hands, guys.
Okay, Jim, oh, stand up. Let's get a look at you here, you know. And I got to tell you, we talk about all the scholarships and the help that we do for our students, and this board plays a major part of that and are really doing a super job. So we're very, very glad to have them as a part of our institution. Okay, an action item. I guess we can move into that if we want to. Approval of hearing officers, and this is I believe, an annual event that we do, and you've had an opportunity, I hope, to see what who is being nominated, and I believe they're actually the same persons that we've had on board for a while. So somebody would maybe move that we approve the hearing officers as outlined in action item 8A. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lyle, you're on.
Well, I would so move that we approve agenda item, it looks like 8A.
Right. Thank you, Lyle. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, 2 seconds. That's good.
You guys practice.
Any discussion?
In harmony.
Okay, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried, and those members are now our hearing officers. Information items, correspondence, Dr. B.
The correspondence is included in your packet, and it's just for your information.
Okay. How about calendar events? I know that's there too, but is there anything that needs to be added or
It's right now it's a complete list that we have for the events in September and October that we hope that the board members can attend at your convenience.
do we have to wear a tie?
Only tomorrow morning at 9:30.
Just me. I'm the only one. Topics for January board meeting, or board retreat, I guess is what that is about. We're going to have at least one new member, and so I would assume that we'd probably want some, what do I say?
Input?
What? Board duties, or how being a good board member, or whatever
I'll take care
that
of it.
is. Okay. Yeah, that's for you, Mark, actually. So, well, it seems like, we're talking about awful early, but all of a sudden it's going to be here. So we'll have a time next meeting, probably, or every meeting, I guess, between now and then, and we can do, if we want to work on the agenda, we can do that.
Yeah.
Lyle, you have a comment or?
Nope.
Nope, okay. All right, then comments from board members. Any,
Well, I'll start it off. I thought it was a particularly good meeting. I certainly enjoyed the meeting with our foundation board. That's always very, very informative, and it's a time for us to visit and make sure we're all on the same page, and so far it seems like we are. And it's all about student success, everything we do. So that's always a great meeting, and honored to have a couple of our foundation board members here. It was certainly a pleasure for all of us. I think I can speak for all of us to meet 5 new foundation board members. So it was just a great meeting all the way around. This meeting, as always, went very, very well. It's very informative. It's always great to hear the successes of our former students, like we see at the beginning of each meeting. I always enjoy that. I think that's the highlight of every meeting, is hearing our former students come back and tell of their successes and relate it back to Ames Community College. So thank you all for all you do, and great meeting.
Anybody?
We can't make up our minds who's going to go. I kind of want to add on to the same. Getting the foundation boards together with our board is kind of an extremely proactive. That was me. I drop them all the time. They fly out of the back of my pickup truck too. But you know, getting together like that and conversing, hearing their stories, hearing what's going on helps create those tipping points, and that's what it's all about. It would be great for us maybe do a counterpart at the end of the school year with their board meeting, have a work session once again to see how we're doing. I wouldn't mind getting together a couple times. And some of the other things that, it's kind of what we've learned at these conferences, these larger boards, when you get 10 to 12 people that are in the know of the community in the surrounding areas, both South County, North County, Central, you know, we can get some synergy going with that, coupled with the ongoing board here at the college. I think it only behooves us to continue that growth in that way. And I appreciate Timothy and Kelly's input into all of that. It seems like we're doing a great job there. And it's great to hear the great stories, but it's also important for us to hear your challenges. So, you know, those are equally important in my opinion. So we know how to help you address those as time goes through the tunnel. Thank you. Good job.
Gene, anything?
Well, it's already been said how much we appreciate the work that the foundation does and the time they spend, you know, helping us to carry out our role here by raising funds and so forth. And also, I think it's incumbent on all of us to remember to tell the good stories that we have to tell out in the community so that this community, our taxpayers, understand and appreciate the good things that are happening at Ames, all 4 campuses.
Yeah, I would certainly echo everything that's been said. Mark said, you know, maybe we ought to meet twice a year or something like that to continue the dialogue that we had this morning. And, you know, it's just a wonderful group of folks that are so important to our whole operation. Just sort of a side comment, it always just pleases me to no end to hear all these new hires that come from a 4-year institution and want to move up to Ames 2 years. I can understand why, but I just think it's interesting. I'd also comment on the aviation dedication.
Oh, God, yes.
Eric, I mean, boy, what a wonderful event that was. Gee, I thought, well, you know, you don't have to give me directions or anything. I can find it. And I'm really glad I had directions. My goodness, what a bunch of folks that attended. And I think really we're very interested, very accepting of the program. We even had a couple of county commissioners there, which was good to see. And just good job, Eric, and your crew. So it was wonderful. Okay, now I guess we don't have our one speaker or whatever yet. So at this time, we'd like to move into an executive session. And I would tell you folks that if you want to hang around, that's fine. We'll be back here after we complete the executive session. There will be no decisions or anything like that that'll be made. It's purely for an informational purpose. So personnel information, which it has to do if we're doing an executive session. So would somebody move that we go into executive session as allowed by CRS 246402, paren 4, paren F.
I so move that we do that.
Okay, it's moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gene. Okay, we are adjourned here.